Well, I'm one of the 3 co-advisors of the CVA. We started about 2 years ago. One of our student veterans wanted to get an organization going. So we started this a couple of years ago, and this is our 3rd time to have a Veterans Day celebration with our CVA. Well, we have a speaker who is the commander of the American Legion. We'll do the POW MIA ceremony. We're going to honor all the veterans with they'll get to walk across the stage and introduce themselves in their military branch. We have a special guest, a 94-year-old veteran who's written poetry. His son's going to read some of his poetry. Pele always reads her poetry. We have the retired faculty, current faculty and students as well here that are veterans or current military.
Sure. My name's Jack Aker. I was in the United States Navy, did 23 years in the Navy. I teach industrial maintenance technology, which means basically I get people ready to go out into an industrial environment and fix machines. Well, as far as the students here and veterans here, I think the college is very veteran-friendly. I have a number of my students that are and have been veterans in the past, and throughout the 10 years I've been here, I have a number of military people. And as far as the staff being treated well, I think we're looked up to as being leaders, so it's a good thing.
My name is Michael. I served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 2007 to 2011. Yes, being a student at MCC, also as a veteran, it's eye-opening and it's good how the staff treats us. I've been to 2 other community colleges, and none of them had the support cast as they do here at MCC. After this, from my AA, my plan is to go to UC Berkeley, study psychology, and eventually one day attain my doctorate and help any other veteran that needs any type of counseling or help themselves from just anything that could have went on in their service.
My name's Ron Estabrook. I was in the U.S. Army. I served from 67 to 69. Spent 1969 in Vietnam. I'm a teacher with the utility tech program. We train linemen and gas technicians for the utility industry. It's amazing. When I came home, it wasn't that way. And I can't believe the turnaround in the last 10 years. And the college especially is very, very veteran-friendly. I've had a lot of GI Bill guys go through my class. And they all love it. They think it's great.
Yeah, my name is Nick. I was in the Air Force, Airman First Class, back in 2004. I was stateside most of the time. I went Texas, Mississippi, down around there most of the time. When I was discharged, I was in Mississippi. So.
What life lessons did you get being in the military, do you think?
Oh, it was definitely a good thing for me. I was, your typical high school kid, didn't care about much. It gave me a lot of structure, gave me a lot of really motivation to go further and do better in life. Yeah, actually, this is going to be my last semester at MCC before I go on to ISU, and I'm going to go for software engineering to be a computer programmer. Oh, it's been absolutely wonderful. We get together with our Collegiate Veterans Association, and we get to sit around with like-minded veterans and, just kind of have a little bit of community, but at the same time, we can reach out with everybody else, and it's just like you're part of the group. It's just been pretty seamless. It's been great.
This day is so wonderful because you really see how much people appreciate the veterans. The students are honored, they're supported. It makes me proud to be part of this.
Before we begin, we would like to invite any veterans who are in the audience, if they wish, to come up and join with other veterans sitting up here in these folding chairs. That's up to you, of course, but if you wish, we'd love to have you do that. Not all at once. Well, then we would like to welcome you to our annual Veterans Day Ceremony. This is the 11th annual ceremony, and we very much appreciate all of you being here today. Is that mic too loud? Okay. We're going to begin with what is called posting of the colors, raising of the flag, another way to say that, and the singing of the national anthem. And there may be folks here who have come from other countries and may not be totally familiar with the customs and traditions of the American military service procedures and so forth. So let me just give you a couple of tips here to familiarize you with that service. It is traditional for men to remove their hats, Dave, and for men and women to place their hands over their hearts during the national anthem, or when a flag is moved, or when a bugler plays taps. And we will be ending our ceremony with taps, so that would apply at that time. Older military traditions suggested that only those folks in uniform could render a salute during such times. However, in recent years that has been changed. Now, any veteran or an active duty service member who is not in uniform may render a salute to pay their respects to the flag at any time. So that's been kind of a shift in that tradition. Also, because this ceremony is being held indoors, we do ask that all veterans, whether you are in uniform or not, stand as you are able, at attention when the national anthem is played. And of course, that's, of the rest of you, that's up to you as well. So now, if you would you please rise for the posting of the colors. Thank you very much. If you will be seated. Well, again, I would like to welcome all of you, military personnel. We have several here, and I'm sure in the audience, distinguished guests, students, faculty, staff, administration. Thank you, one and all, for coming out for our ceremony this morning. Today's ceremony, as I mentioned earlier, marks the 11th anniversary since we started back in 2005 when a small group of faculty and staff got together and invited students, and we began holding that tradition of having a Veterans Day ceremony on the MCC campus on this date. With the fairly recent establishment of the Collegiate Veterans Association, CVA, this student organization began in 2014. It was decided to move toward a more formal ceremony to be held indoors. And if you've been around here on Veterans Days in years past, that was a good idea because you can't always depend on the weather. So it was much more predictable to be inside in the gym. We are here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifices. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today, and those who are here only in spirit, a person cannot help but feel awed by the enormity of what we honor on this day. At this time, I would like to ask all veterans and any active duty service member, including those from the Iowa National Guard, who are here today, to please stand as you are able, and if we could all give these folks a big round of applause. Now we have another tradition. It's 1 year old. We started last year, and I really appreciate this one. We'd like to ask the family members of any service member or veteran to also please stand, and let's give them a big round of applause. Family members, please. In peacetime or in times of war, the family members sacrifice a great deal, I can tell you from personal experience. Veterans Day is a day when all Americans pay tribute to America's sons and daughters who have answered their country's call. We recognize the sacrifice of those who have been part of the finest military force that the world has ever known, and we recognize the loved ones who stand beside them. We will never forget the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice and those who have not yet returned home. Let us always show our appreciation by honoring all our veterans and working to ensure the promise of America is within the reach of all who have protected it. It is now my honor to turn the program over to Cassie Felling. She is the CVA College Veterans Association Vice President, and is, of course, a veteran herself, and she is going to introduce our course speaker for today.
Good morning. Randy Kessler graduated from Iowa City High School in 1983 at the age of 17 and immediately joined the U.S. Air Force. He was a security police officer and served on active duty from 1983 to 1987. He was stationed at Elgin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and also Florence Air Base in Florence, Belgium. He returned to Iowa after his military service and joined the police force in 1987. He worked in eastern Iowa for a year before moving to Marshalltown, where he's been a police officer for 28 years. Mr. Kessler is a detective and specializes in internet crimes against children. Mr. Kessler has been married to his wife Karen for almost 28 years and has a son Jake, who is a diesel mechanic in the Air Guard with a unit in Fort Dodge. Currently, Mr. Kessler is a commander of the American Legion Post 46 here in Marshalltown. Here is Randy Kessler.
Thank you. I brought a short video. I think it's going to play behind me. I found it on my Air Base in Belgium's association website. The very last picture is me standing with a buddy with my arm around. And I was kind of shocked. I downloaded the video, and it's probably more interesting than I am, so feel free to look over my shoulder while I'm talking. At the 11th hour, on the 11th day, the 11th month, we will remember them. On the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied forces and Germany, went into effect. This marked the end of the war to end all wars. In November of 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11 as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflection of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us, and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the Council of Nations." Armistice Day was originally commemorated with parades and commemorations and a pause of activity at 11 a.m. So hopefully we can do that today when it gets 11. In 1938, Armistice Day was made a legal federal holiday to honor veterans of World War I. In 1954, at the urging of veterans organizations, following World War II in Korea, Congress changed Armistice Day to Veterans Day. Unfortunately, World War I proved not to be the war to end all wars, but rather the beginning of the age of modern warfare. The soldier had to evolve, adapt, and overcome, because there would be more battles and more wars to be fought. With each succeeding war, conflict, campaign, or whatever the politically correct term of the day was, the weapons became more powerful, and in many cases, tactics more brutal, and the soldier evolved, adapted, and overcame. You have to wonder what makes a young man or woman choose to join the military. In my case, it was a sense of duty and obligation to my country. I'm not sure where that came from at the age of 17, but I can still remember how I felt. Sitting and eating dinner with my family every night, and on the news came America held hostage, day 1 through 444. America held hostage. That was the Iran students that held the Americans hostage in the embassy, for those of you that may not remember that. How could the most powerful country on earth, in a country where most people knew nothing about, by a group of students being led by a religious leader no one had ever heard of, hold us hostage? And why didn't our military respond? It was a helpless feeling, and over time, a feeling of shame. That feeling intensified in April of 1980, when our leaders finally responded with a debacle called Operation Eagle Claw, the failed attempt to rescue the hostages in Iran. That feeling changed for me in 1981 with the election of Ronald Reagan. So I talked my parents into signing papers that allowed me to enlist at 17. And I found that there was a lot of other kids my age who felt the same way I had. Our military had been decimated by budget cuts and low morale following Vietnam, but that all changed. Pay increased, benefits went up, military funding was increased, new technology was introduced, and America was once again the most powerful fighting force on the face of the earth. That new technology is really old school now that I think back on it. What the military has nowadays is just unbelievable compared to my new technology. That technology included the GLICM program that I was a part of, the BGM-109 nuclear ground launch cruise missile. It existed from 1983 to 1991. And it was placed in Western Europe to counter the threat of the Soviet SS-20 Sabre missiles that the Soviets had placed in Eastern Europe. We had 6 bases in the UK, Italy, and the Netherlands, Belgium, West Germany. Mine was in Florence, at the Florence Air Base. Florence was an old World War II Luftwaffe base before it was liberated by the Allies and turned into a B-24 bomber base. It was a rundown Belgian air base. The U.S. Air Force considered a remote assignment when I was there. We lived in temporary bolt-together buildings, mostly dirt roads, but the U.S. was pumping money into the base, and it would soon become a modern base. And I think some of the pictures behind you probably show some modern buildings that weren't there when I was. Still probably a lot better though than what some of you guys had in the Middle East. Our mission was nuclear deterrence. The American side of the base was made up of a maintenance area where the TELs, or the traveling erector launchers, and the LCCs, or the launch control centers, were stored and maintained, and the WSA, or the weapons storage area, where the cruise missiles were stored. As a security police officer, my job was guarding the WSA when on base and periodically dispersing to the field. Dispersals meant taking 4 TELs and 2 LCCs and their crews into the European countryside and digging in. Everything was draped in camouflage netting. Redundant fiber optic lines were buried between the LCCs and the TELs. A flight of security police was dug in around the perimeter in foxholes. Radar fields and other early warning devices were put out. Patrols were beyond that. We trained in the Ardennes, where our grandfathers fought the Battle of the Bulge. The Ardennes is thick and dark at night, and it's hard to imagine a battle like the Battle of the Bulge being fought there. I was there for about a year and a half after having my 1-year remote assignment extended due to the Grant-Rudman Balanced Budget Act that Congress passed back then. My last 6 months, I was actually assigned to a training group and was a tactics instructor. We actually taught the missile crews and the security police how to protect the missiles in the field. A lot of the pictures you see are when I was an instructor, so we had it a little bit better than the guys in the holes. We actually had tents we could sleep in. I never got to see the new modern buildings that would be built, but I was glad I was there before that. Our base had character, and we worked closely with the Belgians building to protect the base. We became part of the small village of Florence and got to know its people, many of whom at that time had lived through World War II. I'll never forget how the elderly citizens would thank us when we would meet them in town or walking down the dirt road into town. They'd be working in their fields and they'd stop and they'd thank us. And it took me quite a while to figure out why they were thanking us. They were actually thanking us for World War II. The ground launch cruise missiles were gone by 1991. The Soviets thought Reagan was crazy and were convinced he was going to launch a first strike. This made our missiles a perfect bargaining chip for the INF, the International Nuclear Treaty. Our missiles were actually credited for ending the Cold War. There's actually a plaque at my old base in Belgium that says we were responsible for ending the Cold War. So I didn't realize that until I saw it in the pictures here either. So that's kind of cool. I can tell everybody I ended the Cold War. My first base was Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. It was right off the beach. It was pretty cushy. I was there for a couple of years, and we had a flight of F-15, or we had a wing of F-15 alert fighters, and we had a early warning radar missile site that was 32 miles off the main base, and it watched the path down around Cuba for ICBMs. I watched everything in space also. I loved my time at Eglin. I got to see things that most people never get to see. Eglin was the largest Air Force base in the free world. It was a weapons testing base. So I got to go out and do security for some of the things that they tested. I got to see a lot of really cool things that most people never get to see. And a lot of them are never made it into the inventory, and a lot of them are gone now. Some of you guys that live in the Middle East probably got to see the A-10s and the AC-130s in action. I never saw them in that kind of action, but I got to watch them on the firing ranges at night, and it sent a chill down your back when those things let loose. I was on the base TAC team when I was in Fort Walton Beach, and like I say, I had a great time there, but the highlight of my career was when I was stationed in Europe. September 11, 2001, brought back that helpless kid, but no shame, because the young men and women of America stepped up in a way that hadn't been seen since World War II. A way that left little doubt that Americanism was alive and well in the heart of its younger citizens. My son Jake followed in my footsteps and also joined the Air Force at the age of 17 after graduating early from MHS. And he's a diesel mechanic at the Fort Dodge Air Guard unit. He's actually working today, or he'd be here. He's a mechanic at Eastside Tire here in town. So he loves being in the Air Force also. I'm very proud of the fact that he followed in my footsteps. I knew MCC was a top-rated military-friendly college, but I did not know that they had a veterans group until I was invited to come out here. I think that's great that there's a veterans group here at the school. I'm glad that there's that kind of support for our veterans. Being a veteran means you have pride and confidence in yourself and pride and confidence in your country. And the sense of entitlement seems to be more and more common among the millennial generation. It's not evident in our veterans or our military of today. The American military today is once again the most powerful military on earth. High-tech, high-speed, low-drag, and no-nonsense. Highly disciplined, defenders of our freedoms. Today's military turns out quality citizens that return to their communities and make positive contributions and becomes leaders. One way to make these contributions is by joining community organizations. And as the commander of the American Legion Post here in Marshalltown, I want people to start thinking of us as a community organization. Sometimes American Legion Posts get closed off to the public, and they kind of become a good old boys club. There's even still a few of them that are members only. You can't get in the door unless you're a member and you have a card. Ames is that way. Ours is not that way. Ours welcomes everyone from the public to come out and take part in our golf course, and to take part in our lounge, and whatever you want to do, we're there. We're there for the community. This morning, a few of us went out and set flags around town. Ron Estabrook was with me. Kevin, one of my vice commanders, was with me, and we set up about 80 flags around town this morning for the outlands, and we'll take them down this afternoon. So I would invite all of the veterans that are here to come out to the American Legion and check us out, and I'd love to have you all as members. I'd be proud to have you all as members. This afternoon, one of our members is actually being honored by Senator Ernst out at the Veterans Home. Bill Baltusberger was a World War II B-17 navigator. He was also a POW, and recently the French government sent him what basically is the Croix de Guerre, only it's for outside military to help their country. The Knight of the Legion of Honor, I believe it's called. They sent it to him in the mail, which I thought was kind of tacky. So Senator Ernst is going to be out at the Veterans Home this afternoon at 4:30 presenting some medals to a Vietnam veteran and she's also going to recognize Bill for his service. So I don't know if it's open to the public, but it's in the Copper Kettle at 4:30. So if you want to come out and you want to see some guys get medals that are long deserved or overdue, come out and take part in that. So thank you very much for having me here today.
Okay, when we started many years ago, when I was 10, I was in charge of reading a poem, and so we have still continued that to this day. So I'm reading a poem, Home of the Brave, by Roger Robichaud. Through the field of war they braved this day, how proud they stand their unselfish way. Our soldiers bear what we cannot see, they assure our right to live life free. Each string will face an unknown fate, our support they need, don't hesitate. Just imagine how this land would be without their courage, catastrophe. All the liberties we have grown to know would not exist, this life would go. Find a thankfulness within your mind. Speak gratitude for our bravest kind. Have the willingness to show you care. For fallen heroes, hold back no tear. Reach out to God with his guiding light. For our troops do pray both day and night. America, raise your flags to wave. For we truly are home of the brave.
We'd now like to ask veterans and family members, please stand when your branch song is played to be recognized.
advisors for the CVA, and it's my pleasure to recognize the veterans and active duty individually. So what we'd like you to do is come across the stage, state your name and your military branch and your duty stations, then return to your seat and remain standing.
Pele Wadala, U.S. Army, and I was stationed in Heidelberg, Germany.
Nick Ferris, United States Air Force. I was stationed at Diesel Air Force Base, Mississippi.
Michael Walbridge, I was stationed in Tornado Palms, California. Oh, sorry. U.S. Marine Corps.
Cassandra Felling, I was in the Marine Corps, and I also was stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
Tom Carson, U.S. Navy. I was on the USS Tarawa. I'm also here on behalf of my father here, who's a World War II veteran in the U.S. Marines.
I'm Bob Moore, U.S. Air Force. Contrary to what my students think, I did not help Teddy Roosevelt climb San Juan Hill, but I was stationed in several places in the Air Force, Kansas mostly, but also in Morocco and Spain.
William Hendricks, Fort Boyne, now in the United States Army.
I'm playing the Welk, and I was in the Army, and I was stationed in Kaiserslautern, Germany.
Hello, I'm Mark Feilman, U.S. Navy, and I was in Norfolk and Sigonella, Sicily.
Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Grimes, 101st Airborne, infantry all the way. I was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, and many other places around the world.
Gary Fulton, United States Navy, stationed on the USS Seattle, homeported out of Norfolk, Virginia.
Randy Kessler, U.S. Air Force, Takeland Air Force Base, Florida, Fort Air Base, Belgium.
Kevin Lucebo, U.S. Army, Fort Carson, Colorado.
Jack Aker, I was career Navy, and I can't remember every place I've been stationed.
Ron Estabrook, U.S. Army, Vietnam, 1969.
We present to you our active duty service members, veterans,
and CVA advisors. Let's give everyone a big round of applause.
Good morning. My name is Amber Boland, and I'm also a CPA advisor. And last year we started a new tradition of having our honors tree. This is a tree that we want to recognize our active and serving veterans. And it's something that we keep up in our Veterans Lounge year round. So we would love if you would come down and fill out a star. The different colors of the stars. The purple stands for student, staff, faculty, or community member who is serving or has served. Blue is in honor of a family member or friend who is currently serving or has served. Yellow supports and thanks to all service members and veterans. White is in memory of a family member or friend who gave their life in the line of duty. And the peach color is to recognize of a family member or a friend who was in POW or MIA. So we'd love for you to come down after the ceremony and fill out a star. Thank you.
We also have another special guest, and his name is Eugene Carson. He is 94 years old. He's a World War II veteran. He is originally from Greencastle, Missouri, and moved to Marshalltown when he was 5 years old. Mr. Carson joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 1943. Right out of high school and served until 1945. He took his basic training in San Diego, and he was transferred to Tinian and then on the island of Saipan. In the northern Pacific Ocean, he served with the 5th Amphibious Marine Corps unit and was a corporal with the 2nd Platoon. Mr. Carson witnessed the raising of the American flag of Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima on February 23rd, 1945. The Battle of Iwo Jima was two major battles the United States Marines landed on and eventually captured the island from the Japanese Imperial Army during World War II. Mr. Carson has written some poems, and he's also written this book, Friends by Chance, Brothers by Choice. His son, Tom Carson, a U.S. Navy veteran, will also read his poem to you.
Titled Little Boy Lost. This is the story of a young Marine. Fresh out of high school in the spring of 1942, he was a charter member of the Greatest Generation and lost his life on the barren ash of Iwo Jima. He was lying on his left side with his head resting on his helmet. His rifle was cradled in his arms like a teddy bear or maybe his babysitter. A piece of shrapnel in his forehead was slowly erasing from his mind his mother's waved goodbye to her young son, soul like his father. The smile on his face was gradually fading, his eyes fluttered and slowly closed. He took one last breath and passed into eternity. His eyes began to flutter again and opened to a beautiful sight. Surrounding him were a band of angels with arms open wide. Welcome home, young Marine. Heaven is your home now, and we are proud to have you here. You are still and will always be, once a Marine, always a Marine. They all joined hands and in a clear voice sang the Marine hymn. His eyes closed. He knew he was home and would never again be alone. He shook his hands with his buddies and said, "We did it."
The table before you is a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that the members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. They are unable to be with us today, and so we remember them. This table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose displayed in the vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who kept the faith awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand the proper accounting of our missing. Remember. The candle. The candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember. A slice of lemon is on the bread flake to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this night. Remember. The chair. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. Remember all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid, and relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Remember. Remember until the day they come home. Remember.
Before the conclusion of our ceremony with the playing of taps, we should like to announce that all veterans in attendance are invited to a free lunch courtesy of our campus food service. In addition, we would also like to invite you to our Veterans Open House in room 405. There's cookies, so.
A personal thought here. I'm remembering today my uncles and my father who were a part of that greatest generation, and I'm so honored to be here in your presence, sir. Thank you so much. To my stepdad, who is he's still living, but a member of the Korean War, and to my brothers in the Vietnam era who are still living, thank goodness, and myself as a part of the Cold War, we each had our different roles to play, and thinking a great deal about all of my special people. We do have a final part of the program. It is a very special part. This is the tradition of playing taps at our ceremony. It comes to us from its historical use as a signal that it is now safe. It is now safe for the soldiers to go to sleep. It is our special way of honoring and remembering those who return to us to sleep the long and peaceful sleep. At the conclusion of taps, we will honor them further with a moment of silence.